I feel so lucky to be able to do what I love to do for a living. You know, making music is a blast. I can't imagine retiring from something I love. It'd be like, retiring from golf. Who does that?
Right.
You know, if you can do what you love until you just can't stand anymore.
Having a beer with Fred is really about getting to people's passion and what makes them tick. Having a beer and having honest, frank, clear conversation that inspires our audience is what it's about. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
And we have been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is we can have a beer on this show because you're having a beer with Fred.
Right.
The first time I remember meeting you, I was on Willard Beach.
Yeah.
I had just bought this house on the beach, and
It was a great place.
and Peter Roller, one of my roommates and friends, he said, well, we had a party.
Yeah.
Actually, that party lasted about 3 weeks.
Right.
At different
I remember.
And you came and you had your guitar with you. You know, I was in real estate. I wasn't even in beer at the time. And literally, I met so many people that I met for the first time there. We had to get you to a show. It was at Shipyard Island Inn.
Yes.
And we borrowed a whaler and we drove
Boston Whaler for
Boston Whaler.
for those outside of New England.
And we brought you to the show. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
That was close to 40 years ago, over 40
Yeah.
years ago, right? Well, 35, 36 years ago. And we've been friends ever since.
I know. It's been a fun ride.
So this show is about entrepreneurship.
Sure.
And everybody sees you as a guy who plays music. You're also very philanthropic. You give back to the community. But this is really about making a business work, right? Like you're in the music business and you've made a career out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used you as an example to some young people and other people as listen, this guy went to Nashville, put it out there, was before, played locally. What gave you the inspiration to play music and gave you the courage to get out there and do it as a career?
Yeah, it's a great question. I grew up in a really musical family. All my aunts and uncles, everybody played Celtic music. My dad played the fiddle. My mom played the piano. Every weekend around my house was like an Irish pub. And it was really fun. And so in 1991, I decided to put out a CD of my own original music. And 91 CDs were brand new.
Right.
So not everybody had one, you know.
Yeah.
So I got in on the
early.
basement floor and did a CD. And
Did you do it yourself as a business?
Yes, I did. It was recorded in the Schooner Fair recording studio,
Yeah.
and I was a big fan of Schooner Fair as a kid.
Great.
And and
Mentors to you a little bit.
they were, yeah. I was only 14, so I couldn't get into a bar. So my dad paid a bouncer $20 to let me sit on the floor of the Holy Mackerel.
Oh, yeah.
The Holy Mackerel was a bar. Was a bar in Portland, out on the end of a pier.
Well, with Chandler's Wharf is.
Yeah, exactly. And that
legendary bar.
the Holy Mackerel, it actually got washed out to sea in a brutal storm, and that was the end of the Holy Mackerel. But getting to see Schooner Fair, and they were really good friends with Devon Square too. Those two bands would take me around the country and let me open their shows and borrow their audiences. So they've been huge to my start.
You had the talent. They believed you had the talent, and they're
Apparently, and they were so gracious to me, and it changed my world, changed my life. And so anyway, I decided to I became a full-time musician in 97. So I've been a full-time musician since 1997.
You were bartending at the Elks Club, was what this
As the DeMillos.
Yeah,
I lived for 3 years at DeMillos. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, everybody, all great people started at DeMillos. They have another.
You know, it's funny. I'll walk into DeMillos and there's a little brass Employee of the Month plaque among 1,000 other. I go, polish it off. Steve DeMillo catches me. He says, "Are you still championing that 1991 Employee of the Month, January?"
Well, you do. You at some point learn to give back to the community.
Yeah.
We were just talking earlier. You got a big event this summer.
Yeah.
It's like the 3rd or 4th year.
It's the 5th year. We do a thing called the Flotilla to Fight Cancer, which is a concert you can only see on the ocean. We do it out by Cow Island.
It's a great time. I've been to a few of them.
Yeah, thank you. It's a concert my band does for free. We just take donations, and 100% of the donations go to the Maine Cancer Foundation.
And you've raised a substantial amount of money.
The 4th one, we raised just over $100,000, and that all goes to the Maine Cancer Foundation. And I feel so lucky to be able to do what I love to do for a living. Making music is a blast. And you just can't always just rake it in. You got to give back, and to be able to take care of people. I have, my mom and dad passed away from cancer. My sister-in-law passed away from cancer. Your family, as well. There's just too much cancer around. So that $100,000 doesn't sound like that much when you're fighting cancer, but part of that goes to help somebody get a ride to get
The community
ride to
does
get
a
their
lot of
chemo.
good things in this. What I really like about it, you're from Maine, I'm from Maine. It's the money stays here,
Yeah.
and it supports people that are fighting cancer.
Yeah.
For things like you said, rides and
or help to pay for your copay for your meds, your cancer meds. Elderly people that can't drive, they can get a ride to get their chemo.
Yeah.
So it's a really fun event. The Coast Guard is unbelievably supportive of it. They reached out to my awesome manager, Kristen.
Boats were out there. Must have been 300 boats.
We had about 350 boats last year. And one of my best friends and manager, Kristen DeQuattro, who really handles my career and all the logistics behind it.
Maybe we'll talk to her a little.
Yeah, she's great. Anyway, the Coast Guard reached out and said, "Hey, we love this event. Can we offer you more support than we've been offering? Would you like more of a Coast Guard presence?" And we said yes.
Yeah, that's
because
huge.
it's a family friendly, fun event, and so far it's been completely safe without any incidents, which is really fun. So anyway, being a small business owner in Maine is a privilege, and oftentimes I'll be asked by a mother or a father, "Hey, can you talk to my son who wants to be a full-time musician, and we'll go to lunch, and I'll say to the young man, this has happened more than once. I'll say, why do you want to get into the music business? And the young person will say, I just want to shred on my guitar.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, they don't like to hear this part when I say, well, it's the music business. You have to have health insurance. You have to pay your taxes. You have to understand how to be an accountant.
Right.
You have to know how to write contracts.
And promote. You have to market. I mean, you've done an amazing job with Don Campbell and Don Campbell Band. Your name, I've stayed away from branding my name other than this talk with Have a Beer with Fred. And I did that because I got encouraged by a few friends of mine to say, listen, if you don't do that, you won't have a voice.
Right.
You get your vans. You've got a voice. I mean, you're a spokesman for a local bank.
Yeah, Saco Biddeford Savings Bank. I've been doing that for, I think, about 12 years now. I do all their radio and TV ads, and I have a recording studio.
Yeah.
So that's been really fun. They're a really good community bank that gives back to the community, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, we were joking earlier about some of the first places you played that I was involved with, and you reminded me of the Florida Tap Room.
Oh, yeah.
Fort Lauderdale.
That was fun. You've had some unbelievably cool places.
That was right next to the Swimming Hall of Fame. So I didn't get along with the landlord. I almost came to blows a few times because what I didn't know was he wanted to sell the property, and he kept letting the water leak down onto the computer system and all that. And my good friend Gordon Urchebys got along with this guy, and I didn't get along with him. And he and I literally almost came to blows because he would let the water come in. So long story short, we had some amazing parties there and events. And another friend of mine who's no longer with us, Alfred Oberlechner, went down there and managed it for a while. And he also managed Sugarloaf and the Waterville Country Club. And we had so many Mainers that would come down and have fun with us. But then you also played in Clearwater at the Sea Dog.
Oh, yes.
And you played at the Treasure Island location. What I loved about that is we filled the place with people.
Mainers,
a
lot of snowbirds down there, a lot of Maine snowbirds. And it was really fun.
Yeah, and then now we're going to have an event here at the Shipyard Tasting Room at 27 Hancock Street. On what date?
June 28th, Saturday.
June 28th, Saturday at the Tasting Room, and we're excited about that.
That's fun. We were here on St. Patty's Day.
Oh, my God.
This place was packed.
Oh, we were having a blast there.
People drinking green Shipyard beer. It was a lot of fun.
I was never aware of St. Patty's Day till my freshman year at Cheverus and ended up at Sean Kern's house.
Sure.
I got educated correct. So one of my favorite holidays.
Yeah.
So, and you played at the Sea Dog and
Orlando, one in Orlando, South Portland.
So what do you see for the future? Where do you personally, I mean, we were talking about you maybe take a little time off in the winter more than you have, or what do you see there?
For my own personal business, Well, once I turned 60, I said, I'm kind of a yes person. When Kristen calls me every day, hey, and fills my calendar, and if I don't take a month off,
right,
like February, which is a great month to not be in Maine, and I go down to Florida and play at the Sea Dogs down there, and some of your friends have really great bars and establishments, tiki bars. And who doesn't want to be at a tiki bar in February? So I see enjoying Februarys, in Florida and the Caribbean, And but the rest of the year, I love the variety of places I've played.
Yeah.
I've played at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. I played at Gillette Stadium, opening for Toby Keith. I've played in small, tiny little dive bars. I've played in some beautiful opera houses. So not monotonous.
Making money with content and music and all of that. One of the things I'm trying to do with Shipyard Radio 207 is, with another good friend, John Shannon.
John's great.
He's the one that inspired and built, and said, listen, we're going to play all original
Radio 207
from music from people that are in Maine. I don't know if they've all been born here or not, but at the same time, they're Mainers or have a strong connection to Maine. And he really was passionate about that. And I know he features you on that station. But our goal is with Shipyard Radio TV, is to have people interface and create the ability to access their digital content and other things and promote them and promote the station and have fun doing it. So
that's really great.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talent in Maine.
Oh yeah.
There's some really great singer-songwriters. You've had Andy Fawcett on here. She's really great.
Who's behind you that you feel will participate in maybe? I mean, you got a long road ahead of you. And I'm not saying you're ready to, hang it up, but do you feel?
I'll keel over on my guitar someday, and I can't imagine retiring from something I love. It'd be like, retiring from golf. Who does that?
Right.
If you can do what you love until you just can't stand anymore. I stand every time I play. I've never sat on a bar stool and played music. It's just, at some point I may have to, but not now.
Is there somebody else that would kind of be alongside and ultimately, I mean, I know you have friends in the business, but do you see anybody right now? And you may not, it may be something that happens 15 years, like what happened with Schooner Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, sometimes, in the case of Schooner Fair, their bass player, Tom Rowe, passed away.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe over 15 years ago now. And that can change your outlook when you lose somebody so valuable like that. But Steve and Chuck Romaroff, who I love dearly, they're like uncles to me. They still go out and perform.
Yeah.
And they've never replaced Tom because he was so special in their ensemble. But the fans are still loyal to them.
Yeah.
They love what's left. Which is really cool. And Steve and Chuck are brilliant talents, and they're as funny storytellers as they are talented musicians.
So the funny thing, like Taylor Swift last week bought back.
She's amazing.
Yeah. So
technically she's an independent musician.
Yeah.
She's not owned by a record label,
and that's the same with you, right?
Yeah, on a different financial level. But
but you never know what's going to happen, Donnie.
The day's not over yet. No, but
there's a group.
She's amazing. I'm so impressed with her business acumen.
We were on the dock of Charlie's house. Charlie and Angela's in Fort Lauderdale on Royal Palm there.
Yeah. What a great spot.
Oh, amazing. And I remember sitting there and you were telling me, like, and you would think you would either still had the house in Nashville or you were leaving Nashville. You said, I'm not going to sell my soul to an agent, but I think I can do this alone. And I feel like I need to keep that asset or my music, and I don't want somebody to control me. And at the time I'm like, yeah, but Donnie, you got this ability to go to this next level. And now I see that you and others like Bob Marley, Jimmy Champion, they're making a living, right? So but right now, what we're doing is creating digital content.
Yeah, and it's so important.
It's an asset that in your music and your ability to, capture that, I think is important for you.
The business landscape has changed dramatically in the music industry because you could write a song in your home studio, record it, and put it out on the internet and garner 1 million fans.
So
it's really, you don't need a record label anymore.
Yeah.
You don't need to sell your soul. Not that there aren't good record deals, but take it from Taylor Swift. I mean, she bought her way out of hers, which is really admirable. She's a big inspiration to a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, you are as well, which is nice because I mean, you owning your own music, having the ability in the future does not equal the past, and the future can be bigger, right? So right now, if you look forward, you've got, recently though, you've done some other things that you've given back with Jimmy Champion. Did an event, raised over $5,000 or $6,000 for
in memory of your sister. Yeah. That's a really fun event. And what's cool about that event is there are two bands. My band was on one side of the dance floor. Jim Champy's band was on the other side. And his band is completely different than mine. Yeah. And, his band will do, Bruno Mars and Justin Timberlake. And my band's doing, ZZ Top and Bruce Hornsby and Toby Keith. But the cool thing is there was never any dead air. His band was ready to go, 25 minutes after I played, and the audience never got a break. They were on the dance floor nonstop. The bands got a break, but the audience didn't.
Right.
And it raised money. And it's, why not have fun and do something good?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was great, and we appreciate it.
Thanks.
It's, people gray in the Gloucester. We give back to people that are fighting cancer or have some other hardship, or even to people that are in need. So it's been great to keep my sisters,
Absolutely.
I talk about, there are three things in business, 3 or 4 things. We got to have its timing, location. You got to be persistent with passion, and basically you have to have good people.
Yeah.
And those are a bunch of other things, but there's like 3 or 4 things. You can have somebody that's not a good person in your life and really screw things up.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you and I have in common, Freddie, is we've attracted great people. You've got great people around you, from Judy and Bruce, and all your staff is always pro Shipyard and with a good handshake and a smile. And I've been really lucky to have great musicians around me. Like I said earlier, one of my best friends and my manager, Kristen DeQuattro, she really steers my ship. I have the easy part of providing the music, writing songs, and I have 14 CDs that I've released over the years. Remember what CDs are?
Oh yeah, I got them somewhere in the drawer. So right now we're going to bring up Kristen.
All right.
And then I'm going to bring you back.
Yeah.
And later on we'll play a little music.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, Kristen, come on up. So Kristen, you've been mentioned a few times by Donnie.
What happens when I get in front of her?
You're fine. Just relax. So the reality of building a business behind a personality, a brand, a name, and a talented person, you've done this because
it happened just kind of organically. He approached me when he was needing some support, and I was in a place where my kids were launched, and it was time for me to get back into my career and working. And so it just was, just kind of happened naturally, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago.
When you're pitching somebody, what do you do to kind of say, here's Donnie Campbell and here's why you have to?
Yeah, one of the most important things these days, as you know, is, social media as a tool.
Right.
It's kind of, you have to have a presence there and you have to be active there. And so that's pretty new within the last 5 to 10 years. And it continues to just be kind of the premier way that we are engaging with people. But you do have to have that baseline. You've got to have the place, Don's website, where everybody can find the information.
And that is what? What is it? DonCampbell.com or is it?
DonCampbellmusic.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the big thing for you as in the business side of things, you're setting goals for what you charge, when you play. What do you think about mostly? Is it more about protecting? Because I don't think he gets a day he's not playing.
No.
And some days he's playing like 6 places the same day because he's running out the door.
I have actually a hard time following that schedule. I don't know how he does it. It's crazy. But there's so much. It all needs to come together. And the first and foremost is just kind of making sure that there's a great fit, you know, because he's super talented and he's got a lot to share. And so just putting him in those environments where.
Are you able to manage other artists, or are you able to do other things? Are you an entrepreneur, not something else, or is this a full time?
Doing a little bit more of that because so many venues want live music.
Right.
So
Portland and Maine in general is great for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And this is the season. Summer is the season where it's outdoors everywhere and on decks and patios. So everybody wants to bring live music in. So it's kind of forced me, because Don's now maxed out, that, I've had to, get to know some other musicians so I can help the venues have a series.
Is he still playing down at the docks when the boats come in? Do we keep that there?
That'll be starting up next month or so.
Yeah. So we used to go down, Don and I and the Reedy brothers from Lobster, and we'd go down with Amy Powers and Sandra Needham, and we would set up in lobsters in the sea trade.
Yeah.
And then Donnie would play, and we had
So
more
cool.
fun for like 5 or 6
No
years.
kidding.
So, and at the time there was like maybe 20 boats that would come in, 15 boats that would come in.
Yeah.
Now there's 150 boats.
No, it's wild.
And really, it's a big driver for the Portland retailers and the community, and then even people in Freeport and Kennebunk and other places.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go, well, criticize the boats, but a lot of people appreciate them, probably more appreciate it, the silent majority,
Right.
because Portland right now really needs that business.
Right. And there's no better ambassador than Don. He knows all the haunts down here. So anybody looking for the lobster roll or the best beer, he points, he shares all the information, and it's got to be a great thing for people coming off the ship.
Well, what happens too, we meet a lot of them, and I've actually seen and heard and met people that have come off a ship and bought real estate, said, I want to come back to Portland. Drives the hotel business, and which drives jobs, which drives the beer business. Yeah. And the small business people create that environment. The music with Donnie and others, and the people that, the lobstermen and everything else depend on that. But now, are you seeing an increase in music demand, or are we seeing a leveling, or what do you think?
I'm seeing an increase in music demand.
What you think with all the technology in the world and everything else would be, but so it's really pretty cool that's
awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And, you can't beat the live performer right there, and just like sets up.
When they're good.
Right.
I had a couple of comedians, not Bob Marley, but I wish I hadn't engaged, but
give him a try. So
we
don't get the ass back.
Definitely. What's happened though, the reason why I ask is we used to do a lot of business from like 10:30, 11 at night to 1 in the morning at a lot of our venues, especially Kennebunk. And that business hasn't come back yet. I think it may come back, but a lot of the that late night business.
Yeah. Was that only in the summer, or was that year?
Well, no, year round. We used to, like Friday, Saturday night in the middle of winter in Kennebunk, we used to get people out. Well, that's the problem. We need the young people to stay up. Wow. And I think it's funny that's the one thing I wonder as a business person we'll see come back. Yeah. Because I'm personally, when I was starting out, I said, we got to stay open at 1 o'clock. And they go, well, we're not busy at 11. I said, well, you'll never be busy. If you don't stay open, you definitely, you'll be.
Right. You're shutting out that.
Do you see any other opportunities that you can talk about for Don and his brand? Like as a business person, you go, okay, listen, we could do a line of T-shirts. We could do some other endorsements.
Merch is fun. That's always an opportunity. Yeah. And Don loves exploring merch opportunities. And, I think collaboration is a really cool growth concept. Finding artists to collaborate with, whether you're sharing a song or you're crowd sharing or just kind of joining forces. So I think that's a really strong opportunity, and it can hit multiple beneficiaries.
So one of my goals is to have engagement with people like you and Don and others on this Shipyard Radio 207, and then also develop ways we kind of promote each other,
right?
Really wherever we go. And Donnie and I have done that a little bit over the years, and hope to do a lot more. So I'll continually connect with you, and we'll make that happen. We'll bring Donnie back up, and then awesome. It was great.
Nice.
See, you're relaxed, right?
Well,
cheers.
Get me after like another full beer.
Who do you see as your biggest business mentor, or one or two of them? Or
it's easy. Well, I've had a lot of musical mentors like Dan Fogelberg, Jonathan Edwards, Schooner Fair, Devon Square, but business-wise would be my brother Steve Campbell. Yeah, and Steve was one of the executives for Hannaford for years, and his own company called Provoke. Yeah, and with one of the former CEOs of Hannaford, Brad Wise, they started their own company, and they travel internationally. I mean, they have clients like the U.S. Olympic Committee.
Oh, no kidding.
And just a diverse amount of businesses that require his skills, training skills, and
so you get to leverage off his background.
Well, he's been an inspiration to me because he has inspired me to be a good business person and be ethical, be kind, be fun to deal with. Yeah. So as I tell a lot of young musicians that I've met, it's the music business. You have to treat it like a business, like any business. Have a good accountant, do your taxes, get health insurance. It's not just about shredding on your guitar. And because of that, I've when I lived in Nashville, I've opened for Carrie Underwood. I've done 2 shows with Willie Nelson. Willie had me on his bus and made me and my mom and dad a gin and tonic.
Nice.
And
that's a moment.
I opened for Toby Keith at Gillette Stadium, home of the New England Patriots. I mean, I've had some really cool things happen to me because of not just the music ability, but because of being a good business person, an ethical business person.
And good things happen to good people, and you're definitely, that comes back.
Thanks.
And you give, like we've talked about so often, to so many things in Maine. And cheers, Donnie. I'm proud to play a little music.
All right.
It's been a lot of fun. We could talk for hours.
We could. There's so many stories, and they're all funny, and they're all really great memories.
Oh my God!
And we'll make more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. Thanks. All right, so I'm going to play a song I wrote. This is called Backyard Holiday. And there was one Saturday, and I think it was 2004, my band had 3 shows on one Saturday on a hot summer day. The first show was in Massachusetts. The second was an afternoon show in New Hampshire, and an evening show that same day in Portland. And but to start this all off, it was like 6:30 in the morning. I pulled into a gas station with my van and trailer to gas up, and a buddy of mine pulled in on the other side of the gas pump with a big dual axle truck with probably a 30-foot boat on a trailer. And he said, "Don, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to work." "Where are you going?" He says, "I'm going out to in Casco Bay and have a beer and enjoy this beautiful weather." He goes, "Yeah, I know you love what you do for a living, but you need to learn to take a day off once in a while." And so after I got home from those 3 gigs, I sat down to start writing this song. I took his advice. This song is called Backyard Holiday. I saw a friend of mine at the Exxon station. He said he's taking a nice vacation tonight. I ought to learn to take one too. And it occurred to me that maybe he's right, pushing so hard day and night. It's advice I ought to learn to listen to. And if I ever do, I'm gonna turn the ball game on. I'll stick my feet in the fresh cut lawn. I'll have a glass of lemonade, maybe call a friend or 2 to have a Texas barbecue. Later on we'll stay up late and watch the moonlight fade away in my backyard holiday. You see, my old man was a good breadwinner. We never went without our dinner, and he taught me everything I knew. But Mom said it best, it'll make you old trying to find a pot of gold. It's advice I need to learn to listen to. And if I ever do, I'm gonna turn the ball game on. I'll stick my feet in the fresh cut lawn. I'll have a glass of lemonade, maybe call a friend or 2 to have a Texas barbecue. Later on we'll stay up late and watch the moonlight fade away in my backyard holiday. For such an easy thing to do, I need a real good talking to, 'cause I could use a few days off. And I can hear my mama say, don't let the good times slip away before you let them all get lost. If I ever do, I'm gonna turn the ball game on. I'll stick my feet in the fresh cut lawn. I'll have a glass of lemonade, maybe call a friend or 2 to have a Texas barbecue. Later on we'll stay up late and watch the moonlight fade away in my backyard holiday. Yeah, in my backyard holiday. In my backyard holiday. Thank you.